So let me start off by asking you all why you're here in school. I mean, maybe you want to become a doctor and help people. Maybe you want to just have like a steady income and a comfortable life. Or maybe even you want to pursue your dreams or things that you have passion for, like art or music. But my point is that we're all getting an education for purpose. And we live our lives with purpose and meaning. And I think the fact that we do live our lives with purpose and meaning says something about the authenticity of religion. So today I'm going to talk about religion. My first main point is that religion is authentic and legitimate. And my second main point is that religion is a good thing because living a life without religion seems like it wouldn't make sense and it would be a horrible thing. So, my first main point is that religion, in this case organized religion, is legitimate. Dictionary.com defines religion as a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, especially when considered as the creation of a superhuman agency or agencies. And it basically says that organized religion is just an institutionalized version of that. And on another note, well, if we look through the evolutionary worldview, like the theory of evolution, then religion must be authentic. Now let me explain this. It seems weird first. Now evolution leads to the improvement of animals and species, and not to needs that are met, right? We wouldn't have like a second stomach that needs food that isn't like on the planet, right? Now everyone in the world has this desire for belonging, love, and meaning and purpose in their lives. So if we look at evolution, it would say that this wouldn't be in us without something that could satisfy it, right? Like where it doesn't enhance our function as animals, and everyone in the world has this, so what's the answer to this? So I say that higher power must be the reason for purpose and meaning. Now, this is because things like the Big Bang Theory and evolutionary theory say that we're just matter alone. And if this is true, then we don't have a meaning and purpose in life. So why do we have this longing for meaning and purpose in our life? And so the answer is God and religion. And it explains this as like you're searching for this longing, this belonging, love, and meaning and purpose in your life, and it fulfills that. So how could something that is a basic need and a way to fulfill that need, how can that be considered good or bad or false? So my second point is that religion is good. And it's because the opposite of it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like a good thing. So atheism, like I said, it doesn't give it like a meaning for our desire for meaning and purpose in our lives. It says that we're just matter and there's no purpose, right? Well, it doesn't make sense to live without meaning or purpose in our lives. We could, for instance, do whatever we want. Like, we could just murder someone or steal something, and it could be immorally justified. And sadly, it doesn't even seem like we have a reason to continue living each day of our lives. So, if there is no meaning and purpose in life, why would we spend our time arguing about what other people think? And why would we spend our time arguing about anything? Let me tell you about Friedrich Nietzsche. He was an atheist and a philosopher. And he wrote things like, man is machine, like I said, matter only. And that he said that humans, they weren't made with any special purpose. And he said, finally, that you can't judge people because you'd have to judge the whole humanity, and there is nothing beyond us. But if you actually think about it, living this out would be a horrible idea. I mean, like I said, we could be murdered without any consequences. We would have no souls, and we'd just be animals living on instinct. We would have no reason for any meaning and purpose in life. And also, Nietzsche did not explain our longing for purpose and meaning in our life. He did, however, live like there was meaning and purpose in his life. Like I said, he had concern for the way the world was thinking, so he wrote these philosophical texts, and to actually show the world in a way which seems like he has meaning and purpose in his life. So I conclude with religion makes sense of life. it's a way to explain why we have a longing for meaning and purpose in our lives, and it's a way to satisfy that. So how could a necessary solution to a problem we have in our lives be considered a bad thing?
Instead of using my original opening, I kind of want to tell you guys a really quick story. It happened to me this morning and I thought it really fit. I'm walking on my way to class and this woman comes out of nowhere, throws a pamphlet at me and says, "Have you found Jesus yet?" And I could feel myself, just my eyes rolling internally. And then I stopped and I realized that I was making an association between this woman and religion. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is how that's association is wrong, and that though it seems like these things are shams and corrosive and that we make these associations of negativity, that's not what they're really about. Today I want to talk about why organized religion is not a sham and why it is not almost always corrosive to society, and instead that it's beneficial. First, I'm going to talk about why it's not a sham, like I said, and then I'm going to provide examples and evidence to show that religion is instead beneficial to society. To start off, let's look at why religion is not a sham. Merriam-Webster defines a sham as a cheap trick that deludes, cheap falseness, or an imitation or counterfeit purporting to be genuine. Alternatively to this, religion is defined as a personal set of beliefs, values, and attitudes and practices. Now, when religion is organized, it's a system, but it is still built upon this idea of the personal beliefs built upon the people. What I want you to get out of this is that these two definitions don't line up. The argument that organized religion is a sham says that it isn't genuine or isn't sincere, and yet a person's personal beliefs and attitudes and practices in something, aren't they genuine? When you believe in something, aren't you sincerely believing that? Another problem is that in order to say that organized religion is a sham, you have to imply that there's uniformity to it, and that is definitely not the case. An example is that polygamist groups identify themselves as Mormon. The Mormon Church does not recognize these people as a part of the Mormon religion, except for the fact that those people do identify as it, but they are not accepted. Another thing is that not all religions have the same beliefs. Not every religion has the same god or gods. Not every religion practices in a building. Some have mosques, some have churches, some practice in the woods. It's not a uniformed thing, and therefore saying that it's a sham, it doesn't fit because everything isn't the same. We just looked at why religion is not a sham, but we still need to know why, instead of being corrosive, it's beneficial. That brings me to my second point, why organized religion is beneficial to society. First of all, organized religion and their followers are responsible for a lot of the helpful institutions that we have today. My first example being hospitals. Many hospitals today were founded by religious orders of nuns. Mercy Hospital down the street is an example. It's founded by the Sisters of Mercy. These hospitals are nonprofit organizations. They have very upstanding mission statements and values, and they work especially carefully with people that get care there to help them with money. Another example is orphanages. Many orphanages are also founded by religious orders and nuns. They're located all over the world, countries where children are left homeless because their parents abandoned them or their parents died from AIDS, and then they provide care to these kids in homes. Going back to the general understanding that organized religion is beneficial, we can see that individual people that changed the world were under organized religion. For example, Gandhi. Gandhi was under the religion of Hinduism. He said the following quote about his religion. I think it's very indicative. "Hinduism, as I know it, entirely satisfies my soul, fills my whole being. When doubt haunts me, when disappointment stares me in the face, and when I see not one ray of light on the horizon, I turn to the Bhagavad Gita and find a verse comfort me, and I immediately begin to smile in the midst of this overwhelming sorrow." To Gandhi, his religion was his stronghold. We see him as a respected figure, and he was underneath an organized religion. Another example is Mother Teresa. She did so much good in the world. She's so respected, and she had such pure and genuine, again, this word genuine, beliefs. She was quoted in her diary saying, "Our Lord wants me to be a nun covered with the poverty of the cross." She was so dutiful to her faith. Now, besides the current organizations and teachings left behind, we can also see that organized religion benefited history. There are studies that looked at all of history and looked at situations where religion was present and people had a stronger head and made more educated decisions. There's a quote that says, "Spirituality and religion played a significant role in bridging the time and space between the fall of one civilization and the rise of another." The gaps in between civilizations are filled with religion. Religion has built time, and the things that it did are positive things is what I'm trying to get at here. Combining these two realizations, we can see that religion wasn't as damaging to history as we really think. To conclude and summarize organized religion, it's built upon genuine belief, and therefore keeping it far from being a sham. When something has built so many beneficial organizations and has been followed by the most respected people in history and then implemented through it, how can you say that something like that is corrosive?
Okay, so as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, a sham is a thing that is not what it is purported to be, something falsely presented as truth. So our exact topic is that organized religion is a sham, and that it almost always has a corrosive effect on society. To prove this, first I'm going to talk about how many religious groups slow societal progress. Then I'm going to talk about how easy it is to actually create an organized religion. And third, I will discuss the astounding amount of violence, hate, and terrorism that is attributed to religious groups. So many religious groups around the world have used their religious beliefs and organizations to slow, stop, or even revert societal progress. As we all know in this room, the fight for the civil right of marriage equality is still going on. One of the biggest opponents to this cause is the Catholic Church and many of its subgroups, such as the Knights of Columbus. The Knights of Columbus recently donated $1 million to other groups that are actively fighting against marriage equality, and on top of that, the Californian Catholic Church Conference, the public policy arm of the church here, has put significant time, money, and effort into keeping laws in place to ban marriage equality. Another organization preventing this societal progress towards equality and civil rights is the Protect Marriage Coalition, which has members of all faiths, Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity and Jewish people and just everybody. They're one of the major groups that actually presented a case against marriage equality at the recent Supreme Court case, which is terrible. And they all use their religious faith as a reason why these people don't deserve equality. Religious groups also slow progress in other ways. Muslim populations in Africa, especially in Nigeria, have been refusing to be vaccinated against polio, which we had nearly eradicated a few years ago, but is now slowly becoming prominent in the world again today, and that's also quite terrible. So I shall move on to my next point, and that is that it's actually pretty easy to create an organized religion, as we can see with churches like the Church of Bible Understanding, Jonestown, the Manson family, and even Pastafarianism. So first, you just have to create a story. Next, you tell it to a bunch of people, purported as a fact. Then, you shut down their ability to critically think. Ta-da! You've got an organized religion. I point this out to show that organized religion is a sham. My primary example for this one has to be Jonestown, though. For those of you who don't know, Jonestown is a religious group that most people refer to as a cult. Jim Jones created the church to foster racial harmony and help the poor. Of course, he didn't do any of that. He lied to his followers, married several of the young women, indoctrinated the youth, isolated them all from civilized society, and then ordered them all to commit suicide by drinking punch laced with cyanide. 909 members of his church died on that day. This is where, the phrase "drink the Kool-Aid" comes from when referring to conforming. Another excellent example of this, Charles Manson's Church of God, Family Love and the Family. He claimed he was a reincarnation of Jesus. He gained followers pretty easily. He had such power over these people that when he ordered them all to kill several people, including a pregnant woman named Sharon Tate, they didn't even blink an eye. And on that note, I move to my final point, and that would be that there's a lot of violence, hatred, and terrorism attributed to these religious groups. There are many cases of hate crimes committed by religious groups. For example, the Westboro Baptist Church. They target people of different races, religions, sexual orientations, just everybody. They even go after our military. Their speech and actions are hateful and harmful, and this behavior will only continue in our society because their children and children in similar groups are being taught that this is okay because their God says so. Other groups choose to express their hate and discontent through other means, usually terrorism. Groups like Al-Qaeda committing acts of jihad against peoples and nations everywhere, one of the most famous being 9/11. The KKK back during the post-Civil War era, attacking, terrorizing, killing many African Americans. Another group, the Arum Shinrikyo, a Japanese religious group founded by Shoko Asahara. On March 20th, 1995, they pulled off their biggest attack. They all got into a subway carrying bags filled with liquid sarin, a World War II era nerve agent. They popped the bags, the sarin evaporated, and killed thousands of innocent people. Members of the group, when they were arrested, said that they did this because Shoko, their guru, demanded non-followers of his religion to be killed. So, according to all of this, a lot of organized religious groups, most of them, have done something to either slow societal progress or kill people, commit hate crimes, and they all do this in the name of their God and their religion. So, organized religion is a sham, and it usually does have a corrosive effect on society.
Replies, you have 2.5 minutes.
Okay, so basically the world has a lot of hate in it right now, and historically it does. It's a lot of good points my opponent has made, but well, we could say that there are a lot of things done in the name of religion that are evil. We can't say that all religious people are terrorists and hate criminals, just like we can't say that all Germans are Nazis, especially if it was like certain points in history. But also, I want to bring back the idea that we have this sense of longing for meaning and purpose in our life, and it has not been answered yet. And while organized religions do want people to believe things their way, it is not to say that we need to leave our critical thinking or thinking for ourselves in order to do so, because how could you choose a religion? How do you choose which one is right? You have to use some level of thinking for yourself to do so. And as a religion, it's not really completely oppressive if you do try to say it is oppressive at all, because you, like anything, when you grow 18 and you move out of your parents' house, you can choose to abandon whatever religion they gave you. I mean, you're not forced to stay in any religion that you were raised with or anything like that, so you don't have to believe anything religious people tell you. But one thing I want to say is that in order to believe that that religions are wrong, you have to propose your own set of beliefs. In order to believe A is incorrect, you have to believe B, which disproves A. So, like everything in this world, like atheism is another paradigm, as religions are. And let's say you have you believe that all we are is matter, we'll eventually die, and so we should just try to be happy in life and not impose our beliefs on others. Well, this is similar to like a structure. The structure is the same structure as organized religions, which say like who we are, like why we're here, and how we should live our lives.
Thank you very much. Replies. 2 minutes? 2.5 minutes.
I'm just gonna talk. Can you stop me at the 2.5?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So, we're talking about organized religion, and she mentioned terrorism, and we've got, the Westboro Baptist Church and Jonestown, and I mentioned polygamists and Mormons, and these people, the first thing they're doing is that they're representing a religion that does not represent them, and so they're under the organized religion, and they're kind of the exception to the rule here. One thing that I did that I thought was really interesting is there's 313.9 million people in America right now, give or take a few thousand. And 87% of them identify as religious or under an organized religion. Now, go ahead and take a guess at how many of those people on the topic of gay marriage and banning gay marriage believe that gay marriage should be illegal because of their religion. 17%. 17% of 263, which is the 87% of America, that many people believe in that because of their religion. It isn't their religion that is causing the problem here. It's people that are uninformed, people that believe it's gross, or, you know, things like that. It's not the religion that's telling them these things. There was a quote, and I forgot it, and I'm really sorry that I don't have it in my notes. I had it, and I never used it. And it said something along the lines of, we have religion, and we have the people. And what we're doing in the news and in society is that we're seeing the radicalists, and we're defining the religion by the radicalists. Muslims, you know, when there's terrorism, someone's like, oh, it was a Muslim. No, it was not a Muslim, it was a person. They may be Muslim, but you can't classify all of Muslims by that rule. The Westboro Baptist Church, the opposite. They're all, you know, we see them all as bad, but there is a girl who left, who realized that it was wrong. And she's, you know, she's associated with that, and yet we don't see all the Westboro Baptist Church as good now because, you know, she's good. But another thing is that she talked about Jones, I think it was Jonestown and the Westboro Baptist Church and how terrible they are and how they're so bad to society. Isn't society a large group of people? Society is fighting these people. We're not going along with them. We're having protests and Hell's Angels at the
Thank you very much.
Stuff like that.
Reply, you have 2.5 minutes.
Okay. So, my opponent said something about how if you don't believe in A, you automatically have to believe in B. I'd like to point out that that's completely false, because just because I don't believe that maybe there's oxygen in the atmosphere doesn't mean that I believe that it's made up of candy. So, another thing I'd like to say, he mentioned that Nietzsche said, you know, man is a machine, no special purpose, blah, 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 just because he was an atheist. I'd like to point out that a lot of atheists believe in science. That is their reason for life. I didn't say that all organized religion is corrosive. I said almost all. That was qualifier. That is another important point. He said that most religions aren't oppressive, but maybe it's not the religion that's oppressive, but also the cultures that are associated with them. Say Islamic cultures in Middle East. If you're part of the Islamic religion, a lot of times you have to do things that you don't want to do, or your family refuses to let you leave, things like that. She was talking about how religions aren't to sham because the people who created them were genuine about everything. They may truly believe in what they've created, but that's not the basis on which to say that it isn't a sham. Because, I mean, if you look at all the cult religions that I talked about, people at Jonestown, and they believed in so much in everything that they were doing. They believed in everything. And they still, you know, almost everybody involved died. All but I think 15 members died. She was talking about how religious groups, they do good things for the world. Yeah, of course they do good things because they have to put up another front to prove that they're not all bad. Otherwise, most people would have already given up on religion and most of society. So I would like to point out that most of the time outweighs the good. A lot of these churches, they do fundraising through tithes and all of these things. But when typed into Google, if you type in church and then embezzlement, so many things come up that it's kind of disgusting. Not organizations, not just religious ones, they often breed corruption and of course through religious groups it's a little bit more appealing because all that money is tax-free. She was talking about how the negative things are...
Thank you very much. Closing statements. 3 minutes.
One of the things that kind of lit the nerves, made me skip over last time when I should have said, is that she brought up a list of like the bad things that like churches and religions I've done, but we could spend like years coming up with an inexhaustible list of the good and bad things people have done, but it's not going to get us anywhere because there's always going to be more information that'll prove out, and this that'll be adding to the list, and this one will be better, and this one will be better, and we can't spend all of our lives doing that. So we need to look at the bigger pictures, such as, like I said again, my main point I keep going back to: why do we have longing for meaning and purpose in our life? And in regards to science being a reason for life, it is a way that describes like how our life works, but it doesn't give us a reason to pursue anything or to love or to do any of the things that we do in our lives besides like eat, sleep, and progress the species. And what I said about the A and B things, what I meant is that if you believe that like what you see in life and experience and what you learn through science is what's true, then things that contradict it in religion would be false. So therefore, you have to have something that makes you doubt. If you have A, you can't doubt it unless you have something B that tells you that you should doubt it. And also, with the fact, going back to why like people are told certain things to believe, I mean, if we could figure out our lives all by ourselves, I don't think we could. I mean, for one, people spend like all their lives trying to live out what their religions tell them, but if they were to have to figure out like the meaning of life by themselves and then try to implement that, I don't think they'd have enough time in their lifetime. But anyway, I'd like to conclude with restating my main points that we all have this innate desire for something greater, for being part of something, for love and purpose and things like that. And the only thing that can satisfy that is to have a higher power outside of matter. And also, if we were to live as if there weren't any higher power or meaning in life, then I would like to ask, well, why would you be sitting here? I mean, what I say wouldn't even really matter. I wouldn't really have a reason for talking right now. So hope this puts it all together.
Closing statement, you have 3 minutes.
The first thing I thought that was really interesting that she said is that religions do good things because they're putting up a front, and religion, that's the institution, but it's also the people. So when I go to an orphanage or I volunteer to work with these children in the name of my religion, I'm putting up a front. I don't genuinely care in these people. I'm just going because it looks good to other people. No. Also, what do we see in the media? We see the bad things. The Boston bombing. All we heard about was the bombing and how horrible these kids are and all the conspiracy. Did anyone talk about the runners that ran an extra 2 to 3 miles to the hospital to donate blood for people? Did they talk about the people who worked to save them? Did they talk about all the activism that people are going towards, the celebrities that visited the children, the people that are donating money to save these people? No, the media focuses on the bad things. So when you hear about the religious activism in other countries and the radicalism, you're hearing about the bad thing. They never talk about the good stuff. Also, she talked about how society is ultimately bad and how religion is ultimately bad. If we have that perspective, yeah, it's going to be bad. You have to, my dad always said this, you have to think good thoughts in order to have good things happen. I used to roll my eyes, but it makes sense. If you have a negative outlook on life, everything's going to be negative. She also said that genuineness, because saying that people's beliefs are genuine, that religion is genuine, doesn't make it not a sham. The definition of a sham is something pretending to be genuine. So if it is genuine, that automatically makes it not a sham. If that's the definition and something doesn't fit that, then anyways. One thing I kind of wanted to discuss before I run out of time is that the rule and the exception. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but she talked about, the rule of society is that it's bad. I believe it's good. I believe that we're ultimately good. It's the media that's showing us the bad things. The exceptions to the rules are the radicalists. They're the exception to their religion. The people that groups that are ultimately bad, there's always someone good within it. They're the exception, that's the good thing. There's groups that are ultimately bad, there's the exception, that's a bad one. So what I want to ask of you is that the next time you make a judgment when all you've seen is bad things, take a moment to think that maybe that's just situational, or just the media, or just what the education system decided to tell you. And maybe there's more out there, and maybe next time you'll reevaluate your opinions and see that something like organized religion isn't really as bad as everyone tells us.
Closing statements, you may have up to 4 minutes.
Okay. He made a point that when you have a contradiction, that you automatically don't believe in what contradicts, and that's not always true. In fact, contradiction often breeds questions, and questioning is the basis for science. This leads to further study, and you keep studying until you find something that doesn't contradict, or you find a reason why it contradicts. And she said something about how association is wrong in her first bit. As human beings, we use associations to make connections, to create meaning in our world. If we didn't make associations, then we wouldn't have any meaning towards anything. So there's that as well. When you reach a point, when you just put like a name of a religious group into Google, and it comes up with, hundreds of thousands of negative things and 5 or 6 good things, you've kind of reached a point where that argument is a little moot. There's so many negative things that go on with religious groups that, and I know that there are positives as well, like hospitals and orphanages and things like that. But because there's so many negatives, they're no longer exceptions. They are the rule. She said that because it's created by people who are genuine, that it's not a sham. But my definition that I found on Oxford says that it's just something that's falsely presented as truth, or something that's purported to be, or is purported to be, that it's not something that is purported to be. So like, really that's kind of what religion is. It is purporting to be something that it's really not. There's, like I said, there's a lot of hate and everything that goes into religion. It's really, and he was talking a lot about how religion is great and atheism is bad. But really, but saying that is like, it's like, instead of me attacking religion, he's attacking atheism, which isn't, exactly fair. There's a lot of bad things that happen with organized religion. I mean, there's bad things that happen without organized religion as well, but there's a lot of bad things that happen associated with religion. So I'm just going to decide that, or I'm just going to conclude again that it does have a corrosive effect on society, and now I'm done.
Thank you very much, everybody up front. The floor is open for questions.